Good morning, friends. This is Tracy Brown. I hope you're having a good one. So I'm sitting in the car. I'm getting ready to go do a marketing meeting, but I had a few minutes before I had to go in, so I thought I would drop in and say hi and talk to you about a theme. It's not really a theme of this week, even though it's come up a couple times in sessions, but it's a pretty common theme if you're working with anybody who's struggling with food and body image issues. So we're going to jump in. And I don't know about you all, I tend to attract, and I know why, I tend to attract people who, actually, all different shapes and sizes. So it's not really so much the body size, it's people who really, really struggle with chronic shame, of course trauma, workaholism, and just not feeling good enough. And I know these are really, really, in our day and age, very common themes, but I tend to see a lot of that. I would say the majority of my clients have some kind of constellation of that. And what happens that even though you've worked with somebody many sessions, and they know about health every size, they even know how to decode their I feel fat or I gotta eat this moments, they might be actually very skilled at that, and they know all the information cognitively. What we're still gonna be working with over time is, and I'm sorry, there's a weed whacker in the background. I wish you could not be here, but anyway, what we're working with over time is like the mind knows better at this point, or even emotionally, the mind knows better, but the body's still not at a place of safety enough and regulation enough where there are still going to be times and experiences until more time goes by and really a lot more devotion to practice of learning to regulate themselves, that they're not going to have that old neural pathway clamped down when they basically get in situations where things are just feeling way too much. Alright, so this is kind of what I saw this week. See, there's a guy back there hand mowing for some reason. Anyway, so you know, I'm aware of my circumstances. So anyway, what I notice is, and this is what you'll see in your clients too, is that when you start unpacking, and I'm not going to get, I know that a little bit more specific details would help you have a clearer picture of this, but I can only put those in my password protected spaces. I don't want to talk about it live online, you know, just who knows where videos go, right? Unless I've got them in a specific space. So if you're interested in a lot of case studies like this that have all the details, you know, let me know if you're interested in non-diet and decoding counseling skills training. That's available always as a self-study, or I do it live usually once or twice a year, so please inquire about that if that's something you're interested in. But we probably spend at least a good month doing case studies just about that, these studies. But anyway, so the theme is, you know, you're going to have these layers of, like, basically the core layer is like, I'm not enough. And anybody who's struggling with any kind of eating thing probably has some kind of attachment ruptures in that, and it's going to be, I'm too much, or there wasn't enough. And there's an existential feeling about that. But anyway, as you kind of pan out above that, we all develop character strategies and just strategies to I guess survive that. You know, survive is real for some people, and some people it's like the emotional survival, because it can feel excruciating, you know, not to feel seen and heard and witnessed, and to feel safe, you know, whether it's physical, emotional, mental. And so people develop these strategies, and what I see a lot in our clients is this really industrious overfocus, you know, kind of strategy of feeling like, you know, what we do is who we are, and that's the only way to feel good enough, because inside there's like this hole. And when people have stopped dieting, restricting, trying to get a smaller body to earn approval, that can kind of clamp down more for some people. Or if we're lucky, and I try to make sure we're bringing that up, and it's brought up in therapy too, is it like, and that's like another, that layer was probably there before the eating stuff happened, like the active restriction or binging. Sometimes not, but it can either go before, after, or parallel. But anyway, as I was unpacking this last couple days with a couple different people, it's just recognizing that there's just a lot of body fear. It doesn't always have a a thought stream or a story to it. It's really just like the body image issue, the body checking, the body hatred, and the trashing and the bashing is like this top layer of like, that's something that they know how to do because it feels less excruciating to hate on themselves for their body changes, not having the right body, than the idea of, and they don't really always know how to orient towards the good of like where they're enough and how they're enough and what they're doing well. And that's something that we can work with our clients, is remind them the successes that we have seen them accomplish in recovery, the things that they've reported to you. Like, I just mirror back a lot of things they've told me about like what's going good in their life and how they're an active participant in that, versus feeling like it's all or nothing. Either I'm the best at everything and I never get questioned or criticized and everything goes perfect and smooth, or I'm not good enough. It's either or in that that structure inside, sometimes the scaffolding inside. And so what you'll see is like a lot of body image stuff, whether it's body checking. People sometimes, they have an accurate perception of their bodies, and then another time it's like there's lots of dysmorphia, and some people it's all dysmorphia all the time, but as time goes on that really starts to fade, and they can be having accurate perception of themselves when inside they're feeling safer and more organized. Now when they don't feel this way and they're not that great, or they've been in situations where it's like I'm pretty good at it, but if I also add in a slight bit of not getting food satisfied, which is our job, and a slight bit of under eating, which is our job, or if they're not sleeping enough, or maybe because of mounting pressure on taking a medication or even supplements, or just you start to see some basic self-care start to fall, that like they're getting pretty disorganized about what's going on in their life, and people start to drop away from care because they start to get into existential, what's the point, I don't matter, because they don't feel like they're safe enough. So the surface thing is gonna be, I'm too big, I've gained too much weight, and they'll start saying things that they normally wouldn't say. Or it's like, I can't believe, like, I was having a conversation, I'll give a little detail, with a client I haven't seen in a while, and there was just like, we're in the middle of this conversation, she's telling me about work, and I'm just kind of listening and not, doing anything, just being present. And in the midst of it, you could tell when there was this switch and this shift of like, I can't, and start sobbing, I can't believe I'm in this clothes size. And it was clear, like, that's a moment of like, hey, what just happened? And you unpack that. But it got too big. The feelings and distraction got too big. What they were describing, they couldn't language what feels too overwhelming at work. And once that body image thing came out to the surface, we were able to see what that was really like, comfort that, bring safety to that, be curious if that's really what this is about. And it's not that this person doesn't have disappointment about their body size. We're still in this culture and we're still holding space for people to learn how to be in it, in the bodies they have. But you could see how quickly there was just this shift to like, I can't tolerate this, so I'm going to go over here. And again, we're all holding witness and space for all this and helping them learn how to witness when, where are some moments, first, what's been building, and two, what can they do, not only with their self-care, because they'll often report this stuff is super important to them. They want to eat supportively, eat enough food. After you've worked with them for a while, they're in this place of like, this was difficult, but it's so much better than the other kind of hell I'd been in. So they're intact around that, but it's when things get too dysregulated, they're going to pop back into those old thoughts and behaviors that they don't really even want to have, but they've had those a lot longer than they probably have had the stability of eating and being nourished and being grounded. So our job is just to remind them that, and not get too locked into the story about the other stuff. Like, let it kind of be told long enough to like, you get the gist of what's going on, and you can clearly see that, like, at least for the theme of most clients I work with, is just there's such an extreme need to avoid criticism usually, that it's hard to neurocept accurately when they're not actually being criticized. Sometimes there's criticism, but a lot of times it's just, whether it's criticism about body, criticism about their work performance, perceived or fear of being criticized, so they're already bashing their bodies before the meeting has even happened, that kind of thing. There's already kind of a story being created, and we want to help them recognize that that's what they're doing and how they're using their body as a way to diffuse some of that fear. And so it's mental fear, and they can usually reframe that pretty quickly, but we want to help them with the body fear as well and help them be grounded, help them orient to the current moment and what they've already been an active participant in making their lives better around food, around body image, and in general, the way they function. So I hope this video was helpful. Again, there's so much more I could say, but I have to hop into this meeting. But I do hope if you have questions, please put them below. If you want to talk more in depth about certain cases you might have, then I welcome that. And so I hope to hear from you soon. Take care. Bye.